Hello there, I'm Mouldie and welcome back to another Magazine Monday. Today we have here the new issue of LEGO Spider-Man, but before we get into this, Brickheads have an amazing offer. Before we look inside today's magazine, I'd like to give a massive thank you to Brickheads Toy Company for my free subscription. Brickheads, that's spelt with an S, is your one-stop shop for LEGO Star Wars magazines, as well as other themes like Ninjago. We've got all the superheroes, DC, Avengers, Spider-Man, and if you're not a fan of any of the themes, they also do Lego City. Right now, you can get 15% off your very first order. You can also use my affiliate code linked in the description. They don't charge any delivery whatsoever, no import, nothing. And by paying in advance, you can save up to 30% off your magazines. Every month, I get the English version of the Star Wars magazine, though Brickheads do also ship the German one if you either want the trading cards or can understand it. But we're also starting to get the Marvel one, which have some really good figures, and this Thor minifigure actually inspired a series on the channel. A lot of the minifigures you'll see in the magazine are quite expensive figures, be it because of the minifigure or sometimes the collector's tin that's provided alongside. Brickheads will never remove the poly bag, and for a magazine like DC that is only every other month, to fill the gap, they actually send you 3 poly bags and still don't charge you any more. So if you like what you hear, take a look in the description by subscribing to your favorite themes. These are the issues available right now, but keep an eye out because they'll be updating very, very soon. As of recording this video, everyone living in the States can get a further 50% off their LEGO Star Wars magazine subscription, and that's on top of subscribing and all the other deals available now. Not to mention free shipping and no extra import tax, and the 2 months free when you purchase an annual subscription. So it's kind of a no-brainer to take advantage of all these offers. And don't forget, if you don't want to pick up the Star Wars magazine, all magazine subscriptions have free shipping. It's included in the price, and the price ain't that bad when you consider it. This Spider-Man magazine comes with yet another Green Goblin minifigure, but you'll find out with the Spider-Man magazines that getting duplicates isn't actually a bad thing. Imagine Star Wars gave us like Darth Vader every 3rd magazine. You probably wouldn't be too happy about it. But this Green Goblin minifigure is technically our 3rd Goblin-esque figure. It's not our 3rd Green Goblin. Well, I didn't do too good a job with that, but it is our 3rd variant of Green Goblin, and I believe it's the same minifigure as we got probably about a year or 2 ago now. We're very lucky with the Star Wars magazine in the sense that we get a new magazine every single month, but some of the magazines aren't exactly that way. For instance, Marvel's subscription of LEGO magazines comes every other month with a different theme. This month is Spider-Man, and next month is Marvel, which I actually thought would be arriving today. So I'm really happy I got the Spider-Man one, but I can't wait for next month with that Black Widow minifigure to finally update our one on the Avengers stand. Marvel isn't the only magazine that does this. You'll also see that Batman comes every other month, because here in the UK there's a special Ninjago Legacy edition that then alternates between Batman and Ninjago. But for Brickheads, and all of you ordering over in the States, you will get 3 poly bags every month that the magazine doesn't come. So if you got a Batman magazine last month, this month you're going to get 3 poly bags. That's up to 3 minifigures and some really cool side builds. The regular Ninjago magazine does roll every month, which allows you to get a load of really cool minifigures, and actually LEGO have just announced the 15th anniversary of Ninjago minifigures, so you can start speculating on what 7 minifigures you think they're going to release. You've seen a lot of my Avengers minifigure display, but I feel like I haven't shown off my Spider-Man minifigures, despite the fact that we did do a video dedicated to them not too long ago. I've also taken a little look back at all 17, this is the 17th Spider-Man issue by the way. Avengers are a bit more ahead, so this must have only been going on for the last couple of years. I think Avengers are on 30 something. Before this magazine, Avengers was every other month. They were running out of minifigures real fast. But the very first issue came out ages ago, came with Peter Parker. The second issue came with a Carnage figure, which was really nice, and also how I ended up with my version. I probably also got the very first Spider-Man magazine as well. Because if you didn't know, as well as Star Wars, I'm a massive Spider-Man fan. Magazine number 3 was how I got Miles Morales with the dual molded legs, which does appear later on without them, but I'm pretty sure I picked up 2, so I had one for my Imperials. Magazine number 4 is the one that came with the first Green Goblin, and that poly bag was not made out of paper back then, and also featured a glider rather than the little scene that we will be building in a moment. And then we had Venom, Peter Parker again, Doc Ock, which kind of rounded off the big 3 Spider-Man villains in Green Goblin, Venom, and Doc Ock. So that was a good 4-month run. We got Miles again. This time was his Spider-Man suit as opposed to the hoodie. Then we got Mysterio, which I have picked up. And not only that, painted on some nice golden boots, which would have gone amazing in that poly bag, especially given the fact he didn't have dual molded legs in the Daily Bugle. A lot of these figures do feature in that set. After Mysterio, we got another Peter Parker. Then we saw Gwen in the magazine for the first time, another minifigure that I picked up from the magazine and have since improved by painting on some really nice boots. It's honestly the future of Lego, dual molded legs on nearly every figure. The 3 months following were a blast. We got Venomized-Goblin-Octopus, which is this minifigure here, again upgraded. You can check out the full video, I'll leave it on the end screen if I remember. Followed by a Venom Beast. I did a video on it at the time, a 3-headed Venom monster that also came with a Venom minifigure. And then last off, our Venomized Doc Ock, some more painted on boots and a really nice dark green color scheme. And then back to Miles Morales with the hooded version with no dual molded legs, which was an interesting choice, but I think it's the same decision they made in the mech, which we're seeing even in Star Wars, a lot of minifigures coming back with later iterations that don't always have improvements. Peter Parker, Green Goblin, and whilst we're here, we might as well take a look on the back page and find out that magazine number 18 is going to come with Gwen, or Ghost Spider, and the skateboard that you would have got in the Advent and also in the Spider-Man car. So that's quite a nice one, but as I already have that Gwen minifigure, I'll probably be taking a look at what the DC and Ninjago magazines have to offer. But this is all the way in December, because like I said, the next month's magazine for the Marvel line is going to be that Black Widow minifigure with arm printing, nice shield logo on the arm, and that hairpiece that beats the one that Lego have been using for decades, that has the hair down the front and locks the hairpiece in that one angle that you can't really move it around. To sum up the magazines, we've had 4 Peter Parkers, which if you want 3 from the movies and the 2 animated Spider-Men pointing at each other, you're gonna have to wait for the next magazine. 3 Miles Morales, 2 hooded, 1 with a dual molded leg, and 1 spider suit, which I haven't picked up, but I don't feel like there's too much room for in my collection. 3 Green Goblins, though one of them is Venomized, 2 Venoms, one of them with a Beast, 2 Doc Ocks, again 1 Venomized, 1 Gwen, 1 Carnage, 1 Mysterio. So the only figures we've really seen duplicates of is the 4 Peter Parkers, which are basically the same costume, slight upgrades to the minifigures over the years, the 2 hooded Miles Morales, and now the 2 Green Goblin minifigures. I think the reason Green Goblin has been selected to be a duplicate in this magazine is purely down to the fact that the Green Goblin is one of the big 3 Spider-Man villains. I mentioned it briefly earlier with Venom, Doc Ock, and the Green Goblin. They're the big 3, but I would have loved to have seen this Goblin switched up just a little bit. We're going to modify it towards the end of the video. Stay tuned for that, because I have some really good plans that might make it a fine addition to this collection. And actually, how cool would a Green Goblin with Doc Ock arms be? We've seen the Venomized Goblin, the Venomized Doc Ock. What about, I guess Venom already had the arms kind of like Doc Ock in the first iteration, so we do have a Doc Ock Venom. But what about a Dr. Octavius Green Goblin? What if we merge the characters? It's terrifying to think of, you know, add the symbiote on top, and that's a big boss from Marvel Rivals. But now let's take a look at the magazine, because there is so much inside. I've had a flick through before recording this video to see basically if there was enough content to make the video, and there is so much in here. Look at that. Daily Bugle on the contents page showing, I think these are all to come up in the magazine. Here's our spread on the Green Goblin, and you can also see that we have instructions on the side how to put together our poly bags. So let's not wait. If you do want to keep the poly bags, or the paper poly bags, poly bag as itself was a term used for the polyplastic material made with the bags, but paper bags just sounds like something you could pick up in a store. If you don't want to ruin your paper bag and want to display it, or like the Mandalorian, cut out the front of it to display on the posters, which we are going to have to change by the end of the video, then open it from the back, splitting it in the middle, and all the pieces should eventually just pour out. If you do need to get any other pieces, you can like fold it and hopefully they'll drop out eventually. Did I get it all first time? No, 1 gold bar. Just please don't use this as a technique for stealing minifigures in magazines. They're so cheap, you might as well just pick them straight up. Unprinted legs, the headpiece. Can't forget about the accessory. I always forget to put this on. I'm really liking the hood for this. I definitely think Ninjago have taken some inspiration. Is this a new hood element? I have my 2 previous Green Goblins here, and I never realized the hood came down like a beanie over the back of the Green Goblin's head. Never realized that whatsoever. And I found a new appreciation of this minifigure. We can leave both of you there. But with this Green Goblin, rather than having a glider, we do have pumpkins. I'm not sure if the glider come with pumpkins, but I did get the Green Goblin from the, I think it was from the Spider-Man set. It might have been the Venomized one. Can't remember which one of these 2 now I picked up with the speeder, and instead of pumpkins, I think it just had orange minifigure heads. You know, kind of works, probably a better scale, but definitely I prefer the pumpkins. Especially with this magazine coming out in October in the UK, and for those of you over in America, the UK edition will have hopefully been put on the website. But even for the Europe ones, they're a month early, not late, so everyone's got some pumpkins before Halloween. All 3 gold bars fit in the safe. Is this meant to be a safe? It does have the wheel on top. I don't think Goblin's going to be driving this really anywhere. And I've just realized that these minifigures are slightly out of frame, so we'll put Goblin on top of the safe. Surely nothing can go wrong there. Goblin does have 2 faces, as it shows off in the magazine, which I think for any minifigure covering the back of the head like Obi-Wan Kenobi should have been a bare requirement. There's a load of puzzles in this issue, including another game featuring dice. I have to say, this is impossible. I'm pretty sure they've added these dice games into magazines just so you can't complete them all within like 5 minutes. And what do you know? Doc Ock as well also features on his own page drawing arms. Why can't we draw Doc Ock arms for Green Goblin? This is one of my favourite Spider-Man comics that has ever been about. We've first up got the team up between Spider-Man and Miles Morales, which if you played the PlayStation game or read some of the comics, you will know is never a bad idea. Then we also have a few little Easter eggs to other LEGO themes. We have first up this robber with 86753. I think that's just a number printed on the city tops, though 86753. I wonder if that 86 is like the city theme. Star Wars always start in 75. There's actually no LEGO set under the number 86753, but I found the exact torso that has been modified. It's got a fleshy skin tone rather than the yellow. It's come in 22 sets, including, you know, cheap sets, advent calendars, and a load of sets over the years. And when I say over the years, I mean from 2013 to 2021, which is the last time we saw that torso until now. Hopefully that will reduce some glare. We also have Dr. Osborn here, who I assume is Harry Osborn, the son of who we now know as the Green Goblin. When I researched about this magazine, I did actually stumble into a lot of Spider-Man lore, and I found out that not only the Green Goblin debuted in the Amazing Spider-Man 14, the art of these comics, but also when he was introduced, his identity went unknown for so long. His secret identity, it was teased in a lot of comics, but like in the old-fashioned way they used to do it, it could have been anyone. Much like Spider-Man's identity, I think a lot of the writers wanted it to be someone who had not yet been introduced. The whole story is really cool, and you can find this online. Norman Osborn hadn't yet been introduced. It wasn't until issue 37 that Norman Osborn was introduced, and then one issue later, one of the original writers left the series. It was picked up by someone else who then drew the link between the two characters. So that's nearly 40 issues, 30 of which the Green Goblin appears in. They were not linked to any alter ego. But now we know Norman Osborn is the Green Goblin. It was nice to see that reference to Harry Osborn in the magazine, who, if you've watched the Raimi movies, you will know then picks up the mantle after his father dies. And also, they got the brand new Pigeon, which has only just come out in Lego sets. This is what I mean. We saw the Death Star and a few other new elements in the Star Wars magazine, like the Commando droids, and now we're seeing the Lego Pigeon already after it's only been out for like a few months. And then finally, there is a Jester, which I have to feel like, as that fourth character, because of the other characters do all have an importance, well, not an importance, but a reference, which is important to this video. I feel like this has to be a link to Harley Quinn over in DC. Spider-Man and Marvel are constantly making links to DC, and the same for DC, always referencing some Marvel material, because there's like a love-hate relationship going on. But before we finish the comic, we've got to the center of the magazine, which means it's poster time. Carefully removing this, which if you are removing posters to put up on your wall or have displayed in the background, maybe you'll want to undo the staples first. Take a look at the other one as well. We have Electro and Pineapple Man. I genuinely have no idea who this character is, and I feel like when someone mentions it in the comments, it's going to make so much sense. But that is our alternate poster, our nice vertical poster. I think this month, I'm going to be going with the horizontal one instead. The nice thing about having a horizontal poster on display is this is the current one for Star Wars, and I have heard your calls to have multiple posters up. I think what's going to be a really good idea is if I have one Star Wars poster up, one Marvel poster up, and maybe one like Ninjago or DC poster up. That way, when we get the next issues, we can rotate them all without having to get rid of the other themes. To fit multiple posters on the wall, I've already shown off on the door. I kind of screwed this one into the center of the door, which means to try and fit any other posters, there's going to be a hole in the middle. And when I do get the new door, I will be putting probably 4 posters up so that DC and Ninjago can have their own frames. But right now, it's kind of hard to fit multiple frames. So if we can keep getting horizontal posters through any of the themes, not just Marvel, but maybe rotate them round as well. What I can do is switch the top poster on its side, switch this so that it's hanging the right way around, and have 2 vertical posters just below it. Hopefully it makes more sense when you see it. And there we go, all ready to display. As we've taken a look at some of the minifigures that we've already got in the magazine, it's got me thinking now of other figures we can have, and I'm not just talking about this Rhino Big Fig. Could you imagine getting a Big Fig? It'd be the equivalent of getting like a Whomper in the Star Wars one. But also, the Hobgoblin come out this year. That's a Goblin-esque minifigure we could have got instead of the Green Goblin. We've also got Black Cat down here from the Daily Bugle. So many minifigures in that I'd love to get. And it looks to be Vulture, which I like the hairpiece they've given him in the bottom one. Didn't realize this was a spot the difference. Already found the 1, 2, 3. I really enjoy these. Next year, we're getting a poly bag for Spider-Man, which comes with, I think it's Anti-Venom and Peter Parker's Spider-Man. It would be nice to get them in a magazine as the actual poly bag. We've seen it for, I think Star Wars had one, and we've also picked up the Minecraft one for 2 years on the trot now with the New Year's poly bag inside. So maybe that will be a bonus Spider-Man issue we get in the new year, or at least the Anti-Venom minifigure that has come in. I think a bigger set, as well as the mech and now next year's polybag, will just be made so many of, they'll whack it in a magazine anyway. Towards the end of the comic, Green Goblin's trying to take over the entire place and actually recruits a few of the criminals who then put on Green Goblin heads and helmets. So that's going to come in handy for the custom minifigure I have in mind. Well, I guess technically minifigures. And if you're interested in Ninjago, take a look at some of those figures. But that is the end of the magazine. There's a game on the back. Oh, that's quite a cool one. You have to try and describe. It's like charades, but Spider-Man edition. I prefer some of the more artistic and like the building boxes for the display. But it's time to mock together not one, but now 2 custom minifigures for this Green Goblin. For the first minifigure, I'm going to need to grab one of my Han Solos from display. It just happens to be the Bespin one with the black boots, of course, because I want to turn this Goblin into, in fact, we won't pull off Han's head just yet, into a Norman Osborn Green Goblin from No Way Home. I think it's a fairly easy switch up to make, especially with the green arms already, and they've even got the bag that I'm pretty sure he's wearing in the movie. Though it might be the opposite way around, so we might have to flip the torso. But the first change we're going to make is getting rid of those purple comic accurate legs that we did switch up to green on our other Green Goblin as well to try and give some purple boots, as the Green Goblin in No Way Home is pretty much fully green. So we're also going to swap out the purple hands for green, just so they're all the same color. And then once you've got your green color scheme, pop off the head, and in place of the Green Goblin's head, I'm going to use Han Solo's. I feel like there's probably a better head to use than Han Solo's, but especially when the Goblin is quite smiley and happy, the headpiece goes very well with the hair. I think there's a darker shade used for the official minifigure, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. And here we have our Green Goblin from No Way Home, one of the easiest Spider-Man customs I could have made. I didn't even need to grab a paintbrush, but after seeing that comic, let's go get some prison clothes for our Green Goblin. I'm trying to match up the number to the version that we see in the comic, but the only one I seem to have is 50380, which I feel like is slightly older, but it does the job. And we're going to need some grey legs, but I think because of the original Green Goblin we've given boots, and the same for the Venomized, we take those grey legs with the black boots from the second Miles Morales that I picked up, because since then they've been on BAM and they're fairly easy to get online, so I've started to get extras. By the way, check out this wall of legs I've made that includes printed on one side and then non-printed on the other. These are most of the legs that I've got, but there are still a few hanging around. Final piece, putting the head on, and I've realized we've still got that yellow fleshy tone, but we can't. I guess we could probably try painting over the neck piece. So I'll decide if I do want to paint over it and add some regular fleshy hands, the non-yellow hands of any color. Here are our 2 minifigures to go alongside our other 2 goblins, and I am starting a goblin army. Are there any other customs I can make with Green Goblin parts? Do I need to pick up another magazine? Let me know in the comments. And also don't forget to check out Brickheads if you are in the United States of America. I'll leave my affiliate link in the description. Until next time, where we'll be looking at the new Star Wars issue in only 2 weeks' time, may the bricks be with you, always.